Hello and welcome. My name is Dimitris and I am a software engineer on the Azure PlayFab multiplayer servers team, known as MPS. Today, we're going to see some features about MPS and we're going to see how Doom Eternal used them and became successfully worldwide. Let's talk about what Azure PlayFab MPS is, right? So Azure PlayFab MPS is an orchestrator for custom game servers. Built on Azure Compute, you can dynamically scale your game servers worldwide, right? So it has auto-scaling enabled by default for all regions where you specify your standing by, pool availability, and your maximum to protect the wallet. You have a QoS service, so you can connect your clients to the nearest data center, and all this is very easy to administer using our web-based dashboard, what we call Game Manager. And of course, because things happen, you can use our advanced monitoring tools like VMmetrics or debugging tools with local multiplayer agent and crash dumps to analyze potential issues. Here on this slide, you can see some of the great games that have been running using multiplayer servers for years, including Doom Eternal. So, demo time. So, once you go into developer.playfab.com, the Game Manager, our web portal, you can click your title, which is basically your game, then go to multiplayer. Here is the place where you can administer your game server builds. Let's try to create a new build. In the beginning, you need to specify a name. You can select a virtual machine. We have plenty of SKUs, so you can pick which one you like. We support Windows and Linux, either Docker container or processes. And let's select Linux container. Here we give you credentials to connect to an Azure Container Registry where you can upload your container image. Here you can see your images. Then you need to configure your ports. And that's it. You add the build and then you're good to go. In a matter of minutes, the build will be created. Let's see a build that we already created for the demo. We can see that this build supports West US and we have configured 1 standing by and 2 maximum. And let's see how we can add another region. Very easy. We click another region, we specify the region we want, the amount of standing by, and the maximum. Click the button Add Region, and then in a matter of minutes, the new virtual machines will be there so we can send our players. Before we do all that, it's also interesting to know that we should use the Game Server SDK. It's open source. We support Unity, Unreal, C++, C#, Go, and Java. You need to integrate your game server with the SDK so you can work on MPS. And to save you time, we have developed a utility called Local Multiplayer Agent that you can run locally or on your CI/CD pipeline, and this will test your game server's integration with the SDK. And you can also do some local development as well. And last but not least, lots of samples with all the game engines and programming language we support, so you can find some quick projects so you can get started quickly. We talked about the common feature of standing by and maximum, right? So think of it like when you allocate a game server, you take one of the standing by pool and another one will be created, right? So this pattern of standing by and maximum is pretty standard. What if you want something more advanced? You can go to each region and edit the overrides. So for example, if you expect way more players on the weekend, you can specify that the standing by on the Saturday for a couple of days and repeat weekly will be 12. Right? This is a more, like when your growth is predicted. What about though if you want something more dynamic? We have the standing by feature, the dynamic standing by feature, that basically configures that when your available standing by servers are below 50% of the ones available, we're going to multiply it by 1.5 or whatever value you choose, right? In this way, your standing by will always increase to unpredicted player demand so it can support them. But it will never go beyond the maximum. All this is good. But what about debugging? So let's assume that there are some issues with your game server. You can go here and directly connect to the virtual machine. This is a Windows machine, so we're getting RDP credentials. If it was Linux, we could get SSH credentials. Also, we can take a look at VMetrics. So VMetrics feature give us access to CPU, memory, network bytes sent, received, and disk I/O, right? So we can see what's going on with our Hungarian server in almost real time. And last but not least, what about logs, right? So MPS, when a game server process exits or crashes, it collects the logs, right? The logs are either standard output and standard error, or some custom logging using the GSDK library, right? So at any point in time, you can access the logs when your game server process exits, grab them, and analyze them, right? And last but not least, one feature that we recently introduced is, I'll go to the new build here. On Windows, we support automatic crash dump collection, so you can enable that. And when your game server crashes, we will grab the logs and we will put it in the archived logs folder along with the rest of your logs. So those are some of the features that Doom Eternal used in order to scale successfully worldwide, right? But let's not forget that MPS is only one service out of the rich set of services Azure PlayFab provides, right? Azure PlayFab provides services for the entire life cycle of your game. We provide services for virtual currency, user-generated content, player management, analytics, and of course, multiplayer services like matchmaking and multiplayer server hosting. Register for the free trial of PlayFab multiplayer servers, get our samples, go to our open source repositories, and interact with us on our Discord and community forums. Thank you.